Hi everyone, my name is Salia, this is HustleSZN, and in today's video we're going to be doing matching books slash recommending books based off of some of the drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race for this season. Now I only chose some of the queens that I like. It's still 9 queens, so that's still like 9 people. There's really only one minor spoiler in all of this, so if you aren't caught up and don't want to be spoiled, then do not watch. I'm also not like the OG person to do this, so if you want to go find others, you can look them up. It's kind of a common thing for the queens on RuPaul's Drag Race to give a like sob story. So I thought I'd give you a quick sob story of why I'm doing this video. A, I wanted to get back into making videos, obviously, but B, most people are on quarantine, but I've been working full time. And actually my last block was like I was working more hours than usual. And anyways, one of the things that kept me going through all of that was that every Friday night, me and my friends would watch the new episode of RuPaul's like together online, and then we'd live chat about it. And even when the episodes weren't that great, which there were some bad episodes, especially at the beginning, it was just still so fun to like hang out with everybody. And also, despite some weak episodes, I actually think that the cast for this season has been really incredible. So we're gonna pay homage to a couple of the really good queens, and then yeah, we'll just go from there. Also, this was actually a lot harder than I had initially expected because I read a lot of fantasy and like none of them really matched the queens all that much. Like it just wasn't really working out. So some of these might be a bit of a stretch, but just allow it. Thanks. All right, let me go grab the books. This is in no particular order, but I'm gonna start with the easiest person, which is Jackie. So I have a lot of mixed feelings about Jackie, probably because of the whole Persian thing. So if you don't know, I'm Persian, and obviously like I love that she's representing like being a Persian princess and all that. I just like, for some reason, and maybe this is like me projecting my own insecurities onto her, but for some reason I just like never felt like it was super authentic. Like I mean, it probably is authentic, I shouldn't say that. I guess it was hard for me to believe that someone who grew up here, like is American Persian, even though I'm Canadian Persian. I just think it's like hard for you to be that into being Persian and like to not feel some weird feelings about it, because, you know, like as a Persian kid, like you get so much hate for so many random weird things, like A, how hairy you are, and like you see that with Jackie and her 5 o'clock shadow. So like I just like, you know, I guess I just didn't believe that you could authentically like be that obsessed with how Persian you are. I also would like never call somebody June. Like the way she calls RuPaul June, I would never say that to someone who doesn't have a Persian name. But again, I think I'm just like projecting some of my own weirdness onto her. But that being said, she's like grown on me, and I obviously like love that she's trying to represent Persian culture. Even if she's mixing all the Middle Eastern like cultures together, you know, she's trying, and so like I respect that. But anyways, I thought hers was the most obvious pick. I actually had 2, and I was debating between Darius the Great Is Not Okay because a gay Persian kid, and then Like a Love Story because another gay Persian kid. I initially thought this one would be a bit better, but I actually think this one kind of schools you a bit in like Persian culture and like takes you for a ride like into Iran. That makes no sense, but like it kind of teaches you about Persian culture, and she already knows all about it, even though she's half. Why am I being so shady? She already knows about Persian culture, so I don't think this applies. And then this one, I thought, since they do that whole Madonna piece early on, and I just feel like I want to say Jackie's age might mean that she grew up in the 80s. I actually have no idea how old she is, but she gives me that vibe. I feel like she would be a Madonna fan. And if she's a Madonna fan, then I feel like this one would be a lot better. So this is my pick for Jackie. So for my second pick, I'm going to do Rock'em Sock'em. Let me double check that that is her name. I was wrong. Okay, it's Rock'em Sakura. For Rock'em Sakura, I was trying to think about what I want to do, and I think the obvious pick would be some sort of anime because she's an anime queen. But I actually want to I kind of wanted to do like a whole genre for her. So the only thing that came to mind for me was that she would have to represent Sicklit in some shape or form. I think because all I remember of her, I mean, even though she had like the most amazing makeup and like such cool costumes and stuff, The one thing I remember is that one scene where she breaks down and her sob story is about how, I can't remember the exact reason, but like something about her causing her mom to do crystal meth. And it's not that that is a laughing matter. It's just that in the moment, it was just so unexpected that I remember just being like, WTF. For that reason, I think that she should be Siglet. I initially thought Fault in Our Stars, but I almost wonder if Everything Everything. But I can't really tell you why I think Everything Everything would be appropriate without a minor spoiler. Here's my minor spoiler. Maybe I'll do black and white while I'm minor spoiling this. The mom in Everything Everything is also kind of messed up. So I just think that it would be like a good parallel, you know? All right, so next is Widow Von'du. So Widow is just a classic example of someone who had so much potential, knew what she was good at. She did that fucking like backflip. I don't know what she did, but she like landed on her arm and was like giving you eyes. I'll insert a clip. She was absolutely amazing. But then after that, like just kind of petered out. And with every subsequent episode, she like was never really able to get that initial high that she had. At some point, she started becoming a bit of like a, not a crybaby, but just like whining, you know? Like she busted open her knee and like suddenly 5 weeks later, that's still a reason why she's not performing well. And she almost like was taking herself a little too seriously. This is probably the one where like the book that I've chosen is actually quite a bit of a stretch, but I'm gonna go with the whole Divergent series. But please hear me out before you say WTF. I think that the Divergent series started off decently strong. I think it played up to its strengths, which were that it's very bingeable and that the characters were a lot of fun. I just think though, as you continue Divergent and like the more stuff is revealed about what it means to be Divergent and like all the twists and turns that happen in that story, there's just a lot of holes. It's just taking itself too seriously. The ending is whack. And yeah, I just think that it shoots itself in the foot a little bit, which is what Widow did. Maybe the knee, because she busted her knee open, but you know. Okay, that wasn't my most articulate moment, but hopefully that makes some sense. All right, who do we have next? We'll do Jan. I obviously really like Jan. I think towards the end, the edits were a little bit shady towards her, but she was still pretty fun. And I think that we'll forever remember her for her eyebrows and just her like peppy, upbeat self, you know? Now, if there was a book about cheerleading, I would 100% pick that, but unfortunately there isn't. And I haven't read any books about like singing and, I don't know why I did that, about singing and like musical theater, unfortunately. But I think she's another one kind of like Rock'em Sakura, where I thought that a whole genre is a bit more appropriate. And so I was kind of thinking like contemporaries, but contemporaries that maybe I thought would have been a bit more fun, but ultimately were a tiny bit lackluster, because I think the problem with her was that at the end of the day, she was really, 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 really good. She just didn't have that final spark to like push her further in the competition. You know what I'm saying? So for that, I chose some contemporary authors in general that maybe have fallen a little bit flat for me. That might actually be kind of harsh. I don't think Jan totally fell flat, but we're gonna go with it. I chose 3 actually. I chose Rainbow Rowell, and I was actually thinking of Fangirl when I wrote this, because it's one of those books like everybody loves and it seems to be like such a hard-hitting contemporary, but it falls a little flat for me. I also thought, I can go grab the books actually. I also thought the Sandia Menon books kind of fall into that category, although I prefer the second to the first one, but anyways. I also thought Morgan Matson kind of falls into this category for me. I feel like that became a lot about me and less about Jan in the books, but okay, let's move on. So next is Heidi, and I love Heidi so much. You know, the first thing that comes to mind was like Huckleberry Finn or some other book that takes place in the South. But I was like, I've never even read those books. I don't really want to like match that to her. I did consider Angie Thomas, specifically the second book, like not The Hate You Give, but the one about, is it Brie, where she like sings and she's a rapper. I thought that one might be fitting. Although again, I haven't read that book. But then I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what, like Heidi's a fan favorite. It has to be a book that is like loved by a lot of people. So then I came up with this one. The book that I chose for Heidi is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. It's a fan favorite, like everybody loves the characters, etc. And it's a little bit long-winded in my opinion. And then Heidi does that like long-winded S whistle thing between her gap teeth. So I just thought they matched. I told y'all this would be a stretch. Okay, next let's do some look queens. Our next look queen is Nikki, and this one was actually kind of hard to pick, but also easy. But easy and hard for the same reasons, which is essentially that we know nothing about Nikki other than she's French. I felt like if Rock'em Sakura was giving way too many sob stories, that Nikki gave none. There was that little thing between the judges and her where they were asking her to show more of her kooky side, but really other than that, I didn't get to know Nikki that well. I loved her looks and I thought she was so cool, but again, she didn't really give us anything to go off of. So for her, I actually chose that French book that I am blanking on the title, but it's the French book that I always say I'm gonna read and that I never do, and I'll put it up somewhere for no other reason than the fact that I know nothing about Nikki other than she's French. So yeah, which is, it's kind of sad in the end, I think. I think I'm recording late enough that my camera doesn't want to focus on me anymore because there's not enough light. So let me try to wrap this up really quickly. Where was I? Oh, anyways, I think ultimately I ended up with Gigi as If We Were Villains, because I thought that that one, at least in comparison to The Secret History and The Goldfinch, I thought that it kind of showcased Gigi's weird side a little bit better, but still had the same elegance and that classic literature feeling, you know, that Gigi evokes. Okay. So for Krystal, I thought that the obvious choice was something very colorful, and so my first choice was actually The Astonishing Color of Not Ever After. The Astonishing Color of After by Emily X.R. Pan. But then I thought this one was a little bit depressing, and Krystal is anything but depressing. So then I thought maybe Laini Taylor. I think her writing is super poetic, colorful, descriptive. I think it's very Krystal. I also thought this book has quirky drawings inside and stuff. It's a little bit edgy. And I think any of her books work, really. I thought Strange the Dreamer has a lot of vibrant colors. I haven't read Daughter of Smoke and Bone, but I'm sure that one works too. So I chose Laini Taylor as my author slash book recommendation for Krystal. I get for a lot of these I chose genres or authors. So maybe I was being a bit lazy. Oh, my last queen was Jada Essence Hall, which, girl, I fucking love Jada Essence Hall so much. And I think that with every passing episode, she gets better and better. So the first pick is to pay tribute to the fact that she sews all of her clothes, because goddamn, they look so good. And the fact that she's made them all by herself is so impressive. And then the second one I was thinking could be Evelyn Hugo, because she's just known for that iconic dress, but also because it takes place in Hollywood. It's all about that glamorous kind of look, and I feel like Jada really embodies that. All right, the sun is setting, my video is over, and I think I've said all the thoughts that I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you eventually when I decide to film again. Okay. Oopsie. The Astonishing Color.